Well, maybe I'm going to bore you all a little bit today, but they told me that they just wanted me to get up here and talk about the commissioners, and I don't know, I'm probably the only idiot that has ever ran for a public office that didn't know what it entailed before I got there. I had somewhat of an idea, and these little handouts tell you about all the elected officials in the county. And the commissioner deal, you know, is we're the principal administrators of the county. There are 3 of us. There's 77 counties in the state and 3 commissioners in each state, which I'm sure you all knew that, but we do, I mean in each county, but we do just kind of consider it to be 74 counties because Oklahoma, Tulsa, and Comanche County don't really operate by the same rules we do because of all the population there. I don't know what's different, but there's a different format for them. But it has on here a list, if you'll see in that second deal, of 8 things we're kind of oversee, and that is, those are all true, but they're a little more complex than what they make it on that handout. We are an excise board county, and there is another type of board, which is a budget board. And here with the excise board, there on the back page that tells what the excise board's actual duties are. In a budget board county, the 8 elected officials are that budget board. And there's only 7 or 8 counties in the state that have budget boards. Essentially, we put together a budget, and the excise board has to approve it, and then we approve the final deal on it, the commissioners, I'm saying. And it works pretty well, I think. The excise board is our oversight, and that's good that it's there. But just a little bit of background on Woods County. There's a little over 1,600 miles of road, county road in Woods County. There's 8 elected officials, and of those 8, only 5 are budgeted. The commissioners are not budgeted. And I'll get into that a little bit more in the funding part of this. But besides those duties you see listed under the commissioners column there, one of the big tasks we have is we are in charge of not only the wages for those 70 employees at the county level, but also we provide them health insurance. And that's a huge, huge deal right at this moment. I'm battling over that now. The premiums are going up and the coverages are going down, and finding a group policy. I have learned one thing in the last month, that Blue Cross and Blue Shield is not the only game in the state like I was thought. And Aetna is the only other one I know besides Health Choice, and we're with we call it self-insured, a group of, there's about I think 106 municipalities and counties that are involved and tried to become self-insured, essentially, and it's not working very well, I don't think, or I think it's a problem. Our out-of-pocket costs have went to $10,000 for a member in his family, $5,000 for individuals, and when you put the premiums on top of there, if you're a family, somebody's paying, we're looking at $20,000 a year. Well, our employees, or we can't afford that, you know, if you have a problem. So I'm looking at alternatives. I don't know if we'll find anything better, but that is in the works. So health insurance is a problem. I can't read this stuff with these glasses on. And we also, as commissioners, have to serve on several boards. And And it doesn't list that in there, and that one of them being the Woods County Economic Development, Woods County Industrial Authority, Oklahoma Economic Development, which is out of Beaver, our area for northwest Oklahoma. It's called OEDA. We have the CD8, which is Circuit of Engineering District 8, which is part of Woods County. Their building and stuff is out west, and what they are is our engineers for 15 counties that help us with road projects and bridge projects. They do the engineering and inspection. And we serve on the health department board. I think it's just an advisory position, but anyway. Then we also have to create authorities or trusts. And two of those are all I know I've been involved with is the Avard Rail Authority. And we are a sole beneficiary, the county is, of that authority. And now there's the Alva Arena Authority, and we're co-beneficiaries of that with the city of Alva. And we have we're also, what it doesn't list in there, we've got $8 to $10 million worth of equipment and stuff at each shed of inventory and equipment. So it's not just take care of the roads job, is what I'm getting at. I mean, that is a big deal, and that's what the public sees a lot of. Lynn is familiar with a lot of this stuff because he's at all our meetings, but I didn't realize all this other stuff went on when I ran for this job 10 years ago. But now here's the part that most people don't understand about county government is the funding. There's 3 different methods of funding. And ad valorem is your property tax. And about 85% of that property tax goes to the school. These aren't exact figures, but we get 10.56 mil that goes to the courthouse. Or call it a little over 10%. And the health department gets a little less than 5%. And that's a mill levy. I'm not sure that it works that way in every county, but that's the max the health department can get a mill levy here, and they are funded by ad valorem. Then we've got a sales tax, and this has been a question to me several times, and I didn't know when I got elected. The county we get 0.5%. But I got hit up several times. What do you do with all the sales tax money we're paying? Well, we only get 0.5%. The state, what a lot of people don't realize, takes the first 4.5 cents that you pay. And then after that, the cities take the remainder. So that anything over 5% here in Woods County goes to that city where you're buying something. And that sales tax we use, it was passed for the health and well-being of the citizens of Woods County. Essentially, that left it at the commissioner's discretion. It's not earmarked for any particular thing, and it may be the only one in the state that is that way. But that is a good thing. I mean, we have to use it. We use it for maintenance and upkeep at the courthouse. It can be used for wages. We have to dip into it to meet the ad valorem doesn't cover the wages in the courthouse. Now it doesn't. We don't use any of that sales tax at our 3 sheds. That's as a misconception. But the commissioners do not use any of the ad valorem money at their sheds or anywhere. And I'll explain that in a minute. But we use it for the maintenance and upkeep at the courthouse, wages. We take care of the 6 fire departments we have here, rural fire departments, OSU Extension, the fairgrounds, senior citizens, and the enhanced 911. And on that, I want to touch on it just a little bit. Just in the last couple of months, we have a thing called Swift 911, And that is an alert that you will get, like when we had the big fire, the Anderson Creek fire, a lot of people, they bombarded the girls at the 911 office wanting to know about where it was going, how, you know, how everything stood. This Swift 911 is supposed to give people updates. If you subscribe to it, you can subscribe to it for free. It will come in as a text message over your phones. And the emergency manager, Ethan Fiddler, put that together. And and on the 911, enhanced 911, the legislature made that the option of the county when they did to vote on that, which Woods County voted to do that, but the only funding mechanism they provided were phone tariffs. And phone tariffs aren't enough to run a 24/7 operation. So sales tax dips into that. And we have tried, we do dispatch Grant County. We have all the equipment and try to keep it updated and provide a service. The people voted for it. It should have been mandated when they did it that it was done by population. And if it took 10 counties to get the population one call center service, they should have been mandated to consolidate at the time. Because we have, the personal services, there's about $500,000 a year. And the equipment to update it costs about $300,000 to $350,000. So you can only imagine phone tariffs they're not cutting it. So we have to use sales tax to subsidize that. But we are gonna, as the people voted for it, and I intend to, as long as I'm there, to make sure it's functional and that people have service. Now, the last thing I'll talk about is highway money. That's how we operate at the 3 county sheds here. And this highway money is sent to us each month by the Oklahoma Tax Commission, and it comes from gas and diesel taxes, special fuel tax, which is jet fuel, we get a portion of that, tobacco tax, alcohol tax, license plate fees, we get a portion of that, and gross production. And that's split 3 ways equally between the 3 districts. And but that's how we function and pay our help. The commissioners do have a choice. I take that back. As an elected official, we can take our pay out of county general rather than take it out of the highway money. We can do it whichever way we want. And that's the only money that's actually spent out of the county money for the sheds. The John who called me and asked me to speak here, he said, we'd like to hear your perspective on the future. I said, I don't have a crystal ball. I mean, and so that's why I touched on these things because like I say, a lot of people don't realize the difference in the funding and all those things and what we actually do. Some of the positive things that are going on in Woods County, which of course the college is always a big plus for here. Job creation, bring people in, you know, it's a huge deal. I don't know what we'd do without it, but they're very important. With the rail park, most people don't know, we have 3 entities down there now. We have a rock, Mark Marietta brings aggregate in. We use that on the county level. A lot of highway, ODOT, they bring in a lot of spec aggregate that's graded to ODOT spec, and a lot of the projects on the highways come from there. And then we have a pipe yard, which was a good thing. They brought in 65 mile of 24-inch pipe down there, which was quite a sight to see it being unloaded and stacked and loaded back up. And and that was an outfit called H2. They're working on another deal. That was actually a sim gas job, and it went from the Avard, just southeast of Avard, all the way down to almost the town of Canton. And I think that job is complete now. And now they're talking about, they've continued their lease down there and talking about a 1-0 job. I don't think it's a completely done deal yet, but anyway, we have the ability to unload that pipe down there, which is a good deal. Then about 2 or 3 months ago, or just before the first of the year, we got an asphalt plant to move in there, venture out of Great Bend, Kansas. So they're using a lot of Mark Marietta's rock and have set up, they leased 22 acres down there. And they at the time they leased it, they had 3 county jobs to do, and they're the ones, the company doing Highway 11 over here by Medford. They have all that. They're in the process of building 2 new bridges for me out there on the core road and a mile of road. They overlaid the highway from 64 north to Kansas line going towards Coldwater. So they've been real aggressive in this area, and they told me when I worked on them for about 8 months to get them to move in down there, and they told me they wanted to make a presence in Woods County. Now the legislature already has thrown a big wrinkle in that. In the last 3 years alone, they've taken $230 million of our road and bridge money. That's where they're reaching in to grab. The last $30 million went to the health department when Governor Fallon vetoed those bills from the first special session. The 5 items she went ahead and funded came out of road and bridge money, and that made $80,000 in 2017. She took. And they'd take 80 million, I'm sorry, and they've taken 50 million the last 3 years on top of that. So 230 million we've been shorted, and that has a huge effect on Venture, who's there, about projects in the future, which their presence here and our CEDA. They do a lot of the engineering and projects, and they employ about 15 people here in Woods County alone. We also have an office in Enid, and we're looking at cuts come August there if something doesn't change. So, and another good note here is our 4-H and FFA kids through the OSU extension. We're increasing the numbers. We've got president of the FFA, state board in the way of Ridge Eubanks. We've got a state ambassador, Hannah Corneely. We've got a state officer in Austin Rankin. So we do have representation from Woods County in those deals. And the groups continue to grow, which is a good thing, I think. Ag is the number one thing here, and it's important. And back to this H2 pipe outfit out of Colorado, they did make, and we just last night met, they contributed $20,000 to the Woods County Livestock Foundation. And we decided, a group of us got together and decided that we were going to create a foundation to give each senior in the county that shows an animal at 3 shows, fills out the paperwork, which will just be their future plans, but we didn't limit it to a higher ed deal, qualification, but they've got to have a plan, whether they're going to go to Okmulgee, maybe Caterpillar offers options for high school kids to go to a school to be a mechanic for them, a technician they call them, John Deere does that. If they have some type of plan to do after graduating from high school, we decided last night we would give them a $300 scholarship. They filled it out. And We're just using a portion of that 20,000, and just to keep it in mind, we'd like to make that grow. And our intent is to not let politics become involved, and every senior that shows an animal and fills out this paperwork and wants to continue on is going to get a piece of the pie. It's all on their own to earn this, which I think is a good deal. I've said on some boards we have to decide who gets what, and I think this is a great deal to give every one of them that opportunity. And we're going to try to make this last. Is we just took a portion of that 20,000 because they didn't care where it went. We could have gave it to the grand champion steer, but we felt like it better suited the seniors and to give everybody a piece of it and try to make it go. We guesstimated there'd be 10 seniors this year, and going to give them $300 a piece if they show the animals and then fill out a little essay deal on future plans. So y'all might keep that in mind, because we're going to try to get this thing continued on if we can pay more or whatever, and make it a long-term deal, a foundation. And so, and the negatives, we all know what they are, but I will tell you this: the legislature has a tough road to hoe, and they aren't making much headway. And they're having to steal higher education stuff. Everybody's suffering from this deal. And I don't have an answer. I'm glad I'm not down there, because they do have their work cut out for them. But I will tell you one thing: wind is the friend of the county. None of us want a transmission line. I don't either. But the ad valorem, what they're paying in ad valorem that goes to the county, and there were talks last week, and I called and threw a big fit. Because I read an article where the Wind Coalition offered to pay a gross production tax to the legislature if they could deduct that from the ad valorem they're paying. And I'll be real blunt. What I told them, I said, if those guys ever come to Woods County, I'm going to put them in my cattle chute, and we're going to castrate them because they don't have any use for them. Because I mean, it's one thing to negotiate with the legislature, but when they start taking county money and don't check with us, that's the commissioners, and that's you all's money. And they got no business dealing with that. We already see how they manage the money they get.
Did they get the point, Randy?
Yeah.
Can't we watch?
I don't think it's going to happen. That article was kind of a false article. They didn't really offer that up. That was Step Up Oklahoma's proposal. And there's been a lot of heated words. I watched the press conference from yesterday where the Speaker of the House ran the Wind Coalition out of a meeting that was going on in the Capitol, a press conference in the Capitol. And they actually came in there and asked them to leave, said they didn't have that room reserved, and they did have. But, I mean, but the schools, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do, but they're talking about this ad valorem. We haven't, it's slated for us to get a wind farm the end of this year, the first of next. It's starting in its 2 phases. When it's complete, it's supposed to be about 137 towers. And location is, it's from about 5 miles north of Winoka, headed southeast towards Clio Springs, where the turbines are. No new transmission lines. The one they're going to use, part of it ties into the existing OG&E line that came through here a few years ago that we have in Woods County. And then I guess there's a transmission line on the east side, either in Alfalfa County or Garfield, I don't know which, that they were going to tie in that first phase to. But my pea-brain figured that that's about, if they completed, it's about $500,000 in ad valorem per year. and they depreciate those things at 25 years out. So it'd be a big boost for here, but some of the counties that already have them, the big problem with this, what the legislature's trying to do, is they have bond issues, building new schools and stuff, and they're talking about going back and reneging on their promises they've made in the past with incentives and stuff like that. I mean, nobody likes to look at them, or I don't anyway. I shouldn't say nobody, but they are paying pretty good to have them on your property. And they are a big boost, and a lot of workers and a lot of sales tax involved in the deal. And I guess that's about all I got. I won't bend your ears anymore. Yes?
This club has wanted to put a shelter roof over the west side, the stage of the courthouse.
Okay.
Is the county commissioners gonna be able to participate in that? And what's your attitude toward that project?
Well, it's probably been quite a while ago and you forgot, but we did vote and approve the street or the concrete all the way through there to tie into that stage, to do that with county funds to improve that.
Well, I didn't know whether that had changed since the.
We'd have to rescind that motion because it was actually voted upon, and I've worked with Richard and them. They came up with propositions, I mean, and whatever.
So it's still a go.
Yeah, as far as we're concerned, we haven't changed our mind.
Okay.
Yes.
As far as the arena is concerned, will the county commissioners still maintain a management
No.
position in that?
That authority was set up and they are going to take care of it, and all we have in that is we had one member to represent the county, and that was Darren Slater.
Do you know what they have planned for management as far as getting people to come in and use that?
Authority, so when we set that authority up, that authority is entirely theirs. And the county involvement to say, yes, we can help them if we have time, do the dirt work, what we have the ability to do, if they so be it. The proposition we've made to them, and a big variance on that is the sales tax, but we've agreed to lease a facility from them for 2 weeks a year, one for the fair and one a week for the stock show.
So the fairgrounds will no longer have the fairs?
If that goes ahead and goes through, I told them that we weren't going to split the fair up. I mean, we weren't going to have the animals out there, or the animals out here, and the women's building and the merchants in two places. That if they wanted to have the fair, it was going to stay out there until they could have the whole thing there. But that schedule and everything is on them. If I say any more, I'm speaking out of turn because I haven't been attending those meetings. I know they have some plans, but it's my assumption and the last intent that they are going to manage both facilities when this happens.
Well, my question mainly was meant to see if I can find out if they get the thing in and they get management, are they going to pursue it enough to get outside stuff to come in? That's what
I'm going to tell you that's their plan. The last I knew, they're going to have to do that. They're going to have to bring outside stuff in to fund the deal, just to pay the M&O on a deal like that. I can tell you that. You can't sit there for just the fair and the stock show and college rodeo and be sustainable. There's too much everyday cost to it. But that, once we set up that authority, if they ever break ground or start building it, it's their baby. And they want to control both facilities, and I think that's the way it should be, to take the competition out of it.
Well, if something happens and it's not working out right, do the county commissioners have any come back to it as far as regaining any control.
I will not sign something to that. I am not gonna put the taxpayers in jeopardy for a facility like that. Now, if the authority, the way this is working, if the authority, if they want to do away with it, the county and the city are going to co-own it. And at that point, if they can't make it work, the county can't make it work. Or the city of Alva, I don't think. So it'll be our option to sell it, or whatever. But that's the only, I was real hesitant about being a co-beneficiary, but they did that for this tax increment, financing that they're trying to get through. And I was assured, well, for one thing, the county cannot take on any indebtedness. So we can't take on anybody else's in debt, we can't be in debt. That's against the law. So, I mean, that's right there. Now, that is the thing about setting up a trust or an authority, and that's where the rules are different. The commissioners have the ability to set those up, and they have the ability to borrow money.
Okay, is that it for questions, guys? Thank you, Randy.